Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
All right, welcome back to the show. We've got a very exciting guest for you today. We have Steve Gifford. He's raw and marches to his own beat. He's a man with many attributes, talents, and fortitude. He's also the CEO, or is a CEO. He's an author, a public speaker, motivator, leader, drummer, web designer, senior instructor, and many other talents. He's also a former Marine. So welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thanks for the invite, Tracy.
You're welcome. So let's just get right into it. Tell us about your business and how who you're helping.
I guess first and foremost, the concept of ePlot was derived from a soldier being deployed. Like yourself, I was in the military. I went on several operations, deployments, and there was nothing worse than leaving your spouse, your wife, husband, and knowing that, I might not come back. I've had some friends, they have actually left where their wife was pregnant, and they may not even have the opportunity to meet their newborn child because the deployments are 6 months or a year, depending on the length of the deployment. So we said there's got to be a better way. Could you imagine being in Afghanistan? You're about to leave friendly lines to go on an operation, and you're handing that letter to your friend, and what if he doesn't make it, So we said there's got to be a better way to leave that message, to leave a note, to leave a video behind to your friends, family. So just in case that event would happen where you don't come back, your family can hear your voice one more time. You can leave a message to that unborn child. And that was the basis of founded ePlot, or we concepted it. Of course, anybody can use the product. If you're a life insurance agent, you could give it to your client on top of, a policy that you're item, and it's going to help you and a client with several ways, which we won't get into too much detail. You can actually go to the site to see the benefits. So the product solves a solution of anyone who's going to die and the people who've already been dead. If you go out to a gravesite or a cemetery and you look at one of those big tombstones, you're probably going to wonder who's underneath that tombstone. What was their story? What was their legacy? What did they contribute to society while they were alive to get that big monument? Well, now we've got a way to do that with ePlot. You can remember someone's legacy. They can pre-plan it now. And even the folks who have gone, you can put together online legacy for them. And we've attached product that we will launch that will actually be in the gravesite, so you can actually scan your phone to that monument. It'll pull up their ePlot, and you'll know exactly who was there, what their legacy was, and give them one last legacy. Basically, in 50 years, someone could know who you were, and that's pretty cool. So hopefully that's explain the concept to you.
That's very cool. I know when I buried my father, I always thought about, when you're walking around a cemetery, obviously you can't see the people exactly, but I put a picture of my dad on the tombstone, and that's been almost 20 some years ago, but that picture's faded, and it has to be updated. But very cool. So I know you're a pretty creative guy. How did you get started in this business, or what exactly happened to trigger this type of business for you?
Good question. I've always been into the websites, back in the 80s when we had AOL and it took 20 minutes to log in. I was very impressed with the former Marine, Joel, used to own JTLnet.com, and he's since sold that, but we were just so impressed on, hey, Joel, how do we get our logo to appear at the top of a page? And, from there, it was something that simple, but we didn't understand the back end of it. And like most people, everything from a website derives from just your basic pictures on your computer, and you just have to tell, the server where it's going to be at. And it's pretty simple, but if you don't know about it, it can be very difficult. So just a kind of a sense of, I always want to know how something works, and that's how I got into the website and the design. And over 20 years, I think we've gotten pretty good at it. I can't take all the credit. We've got some developers in India and here in America who've done a lot of the back-end work for ePlot. That stuff I can't do. But as far as design aspect and layout of the site, that's one of my favorite things to do. So if that answers the question.
Yes, but obviously you found a need. Was there a moment in time where you were like,
Yes.
aha, you had that aha moment?
Absolutely. My brother and I have to give him some credit too. We've worked in final expense, which is a whole life insurance policy for different carriers for about 7 years. And some of those companies offer a planning portion for their site, and they do a very good service for their clients. And we just said there's got to be a better way because these companies are, they've got something there, but it just wasn't, fitting for, people to leave a legacy. I mean, they could go and fill out 3 pages and pre-plan their funeral, but that was it. And we said, just because you died doesn't mean your legacy has to die with you. There's got to be a better way to preserve it. So here's the story real quick. As we were in a hotel in Florida, in Tampa, we were actually down there training some agents. And we're at the pool one night just sitting there kind of talking about how the day was. And we were talking about a certain product that we had seen. And my brother's like, there's got to be a way to light up that tombstone. Because everybody, not everybody, but when you're younger, you're afraid of the dark. Well, same thing. Those cemeteries are dark. So we actually have the second phase coming out. We'll actually put a light on top of the tombstone, and it'll shine down on that grave, and it'll be our eternal light. So I got to give credit to him. That's his idea. And then me, being the website guru, I said, well, there's got to be a better way to find that tombstone as well, which is part of our service. On the mobile app, the client can actually go in there and click on their ePlot, and they can click on the person's burial site location, and it'll take them straight to where that light is. So that's pretty cool in itself too, because you could imagine if you haven't been to your grandmother's grave in 10 years, or a relative that wasn't even born when they died wants to go see their great grandma, they can just go to the ePlot, click on the map and on the little red icon, and it'll take them to the grave site without them ever being there. So that's another aspect that we do too. But back to your point was, we were sitting in the pool, and we both kind of collaborated on the eternal light, and I took my expertise as far as website and we applied that to it, and that's where we come up with the idea of leaving a final legacy behind.
Very cool. I know this is not exactly what you just described, but I had been looking for a sailor that I'd been stationed with in Okinawa, and I hadn't seen of him for many years. And of course, you go out on Facebook to try to find them and things like that. And went into the group. It was actually a photographer's group. They said, yeah, he nobody had heard of him, but yeah, he was buried up in Minneapolis in a national cemetery, and he had died since I'd seen him. But
oh wow,
yeah, that's cool. You could walk into the cemetery, dial it in, and take you right to it. That'd be awesome. So along the way, what motivated you, or who's motivated you? Is there any particular person that's inspired you along the way?
A lot of people have inspired me too, but being like yourself, just having that pride when you went in the service, that in itself, we're just a different breed. I mean, everything we've done, we start at the bottom, whether it was a bouncer at a nightclub, up to a manager, general manager, then we actually owned a nightclub. Same thing with insurance. I'll be honest with you, Tracy. The people that motivated me the most were the people who didn't believe in the story that was told to them, whether it was a year ago or 2 years ago. A lot of people said the websites I was building, they were failing, and the books that I wrote were just a waste of time. And to me, that's all I've had is time, because I wasn't rich, and I don't plan on getting rich off of this, but everybody's got time. So, instead of sitting at home watching TV, I was on there, doing keyword search optimization for the websites. And that's all coming together to where now someone can go online and Google final expense planning, and we're right there on the first page of Google. So to answer your question, it's the haters who motivated. I'm not the type to fail at anything. And at the end of the day, we're going to show them a product that's going to blow them away.
That's right. Time's going to pass anyway, right? So you might as well
exactly.
Might as well utilize it for sure. Awesome. So what really, in the mornings when you wake up, what drives you and your passion to do what you do to help
right
people?
now? I honestly, it's just knowing that taking that burden of the funeral off the family, putting a plan in place, whether they fill out the ePlot or not. There's still a planning portion of the side that's going to help their family. It's going to save them thousands off the cost of the funeral. So not only civilians, but it's military too. At the end of the day, we've got a couple tours that I've mentioned to you, the Honoring Our Heroes. We want to go out to the different bases and actually launch this live to the military people who are being deployed and give them a free ePlot so they can have one more voice before they leave. And that's what's motivated me. I can't wait to go to the first base and meet those units that are deploying and, give them a little cookout and maybe a little rock concert, and let's have some fun before they ship off. By all means, we want everybody to come home, but we know that's just not the case in war. It's undecided. So we just want to give them the peace of mind when they go off there that they have a plan in place as well. And there's no more powerful tool in war than the peace of mind. If you can go over there with a lot of your plans already made, that's going to give you the ability to do what you're over there to do. And we certainly want to make sure that those troops come home too. So hopefully that gives them the ability to have some sort of sense of peace of mind. I guess that's the only word I can think of, so they can get the job done and come home.
That's a very noble cause, and thanks for sharing that with us. So what are you finding the biggest misconception about these troops that are leaving and deploying and something does happen? What are you finding that misconception in planning these returns or their funerals and things like that? What are some of the challenges?
I think the government does a great job through, they do a very good job of honoring that veteran all the way to the point to where they're laid in the grave. And they do it the best they can, putting the marker on the grave. But I think there's more to the story as, when that soldier's gone, we go back to the point of walking through a cemetery. There's only one or two people buried at the tomb of the unknown soldier. But if you really think about it, every grave in there, they're unknown. We see the name, we see the rank and the wars that they were in, but you really don't know that soldier. And I think we can do a better job of telling that story 50 years from now on how they died or what their contributions were, and you can actually see the person who was underneath that tomb. Very cool.
What are some of your best pieces of advice to planning a legacy or helping people, accomplish this? I mean, I talk about people publishing and leaving their legacy. Of course, you're coming at from a different angle from the actual plot. So what are some of the things that people can overcome or avoid by planning their legacy?
They can avoid, it's peace of mind. That's the biggest thing in pain. When that day comes that the family member dies, that's the most painful day of their life. So having some sort of a plan in place is going to tell the family, I want this to be done a certain way. I want to be buried. I want to be cremated. Imagine, let's go on the other angle, Tracy. If you could imagine one of your friends passes away or a family member, and you had no idea what they wanted to have done. What if there was a religious belief that they didn't want to be cremated and you had them cremated? Or you go the other way and someone that you really cared about, it's called grief spending. So by not having a plan in place, you're going to allow your family to overspend at that funeral home. And they do a good job of getting those fees from you because they want the best casket. They want the best suit and tie. They want the jewelry on them. They want all the flowers and all those things that if you just wanted a basic service, you could help your family out by just putting that plan in place. Does that answer your question, Tracy?
Yes. Can you give us a story of how somebody's actually used your service?
I can. There's two parts of it. What we just launched was the actual planning portion, and the actual ePlot just launched about 30 days ago. And it was a little bit too late for my grandfather, so I can tell you that if he had been alive now, where we could have planned the ePlot for him. For example, my mother just mentioned the other day, she's only got one voicemail from him and she listens to it every day. So, if I would have had just a little bit more time to plan this for him, I could hear my grandfather's voice one more time. So that I kind of feel like I failed in that aspect. So hopefully, by getting this out there to people, we'll be able to help their families out with that as well. I can't elaborate on people using it right now as far as the actual ePlot. There are people who have used it, but since we've concepted it, there's no one who's died where the family's actually benefited from that. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be your best piece of advice to the listener who's considering wanting to leave a legacy for a family member or a friend?
Whether it's with ePlot or if you just take a piece of notebook paper and write some letters out, I mean, that's the start of it. Like you and myself, we're published authors. You know, at what point in your life do you want to take a step forward and write that book? You know, it's never too late, or our motto is tomorrow's too late, actually, to start planning anything in life. And when it comes to your final legacy and taking care of your family, whether you sign up for an ePlot account or you're a company who wants to, you know, offer this to your clients, whatever you want to do to help those families, just start doing it. Like I said, whether it's a piece of paper, you write something out and you take your phone out and record some messages for them. Don't wait till tomorrow because it's not promised.
You said something there that's very important. If companies wanted to support their employees with this, how would that work?
I guess we started off with initial. Our background was in the life insurance business. So if you've got a company out there who has agents nationwide, those agents can offer this to their clients when they sell an insurance policy. And it's not just to that level. You have trust companies, you've got national credit cards, you've got Walgreens and CVS with prescription cards, banks, unions. There's all kinds of people who could use this product and benefit what they're doing. And so I guess there's two aspects of a client. For me, my client's not just the actual end client, which is the user, the families who are going to do the planning. We can also help those companies out by adding a product that's going to give a tangible benefit to their client, and they can actually see it, feel it, touch it. That's going to help them retain their business with them.
Value added, as they say. Absolutely.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So the listeners ready to go. They're ready to get involved. How can they find out about more information about what you're offering?
It's simple. Just go to ePlot or www.eplot.us, and there's all kinds of links on there. If you're an actual agent or a company, under the Home tab, you'll see agents. There's training videos. There's videos to explain exactly what ePlot is. But if it's the end user, the actual client, they just simply go on there, go to the shopping cart, sign up for an ePlot membership, and we actually email the instructions to you on how to complete that. They can also buy the final, it's called One Final Legacy. It's a planning guide on Amazon, and that explains everything to them as well.
Very cool. Well, great information and great product that could be utilized by lots of people. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to the country.
And thank you for your time and your service as well, Tracy.
You're welcome. So there you have it. For this edition of the show, we'll see you the next time.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.